What's going on, everyone? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest behind-the-bar reviews for One Piece. One Piece, chapter 960, Enter Kazuki Oden. And let's get underway here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get underway with this because we finally get the reveal of Oden. I'm not disappointed. Some people will be. But there was a hint of, man, when we saw Sukiyaki, I believe, Kazuki. I believe that's his name, Sukiyaki, Oden's father. That dude looks like an absolute, as Nuxtalker would say, a mad lad. He looks awesome. He looks like a boss of a samurai. I like the whole, three spike thing, the way the facial hair, the whole, samurai ponytail looking thing. Not a top knot, but, you know what I mean? It just looks... It looks so cool. His design alone, I was like, yeah, this guy. And then I was like, oh, if this is what his father looks like, I'm sure Oden looks like a badass. And honestly, I think his father looks more like a badass. But Oden still looks like a baller. Oden still looks pretty cool. I don't get the hair thing. A lot of people assumed it was hair or a hat. I wouldn't have gone that way for one of the biggest badasses in the world that even Sengoku is acknowledging. You got red hair, you got white beard, you got Roger, you got the entirety of Wano country and all the crap going on in that said country right now, and it all revolves around that one guy. Okay, let's see what this guy looks like. So I would have gone with something a little more badassery myself, Oda, but I still think he looks cool. I still like the design. Oda's always going to do funky designs. I just think that this was a time to showcase another badass, like Garp or Rayleigh or Whitebeard, or Shanks, But but he's still his attitude throughout this one chapter sells me on Oden right away. I'm like, this guy is going to be a baller, and I still hold out that he's alive. He's chilling with Crocus right now. He's chilling with Crocus, having some sake. He don't give a shit. He's fine. He is fine. That being said, this chapter takes us back to 39 years ago, or 38 years ago, something like that, in the past. So Oden right now is a teenager. He's 18, 19, something like that. I think he's 18. And the whole thing is us going through and saying, look at how beautiful Wano used to be. Look at how great and grand. And we see everyone basically, or not everyone, but we see a lot of people in their younger years, right? For the most part, this is just building up Oden, showcasing how powerful Oden is. And you know what? I thought about doing this review, as I always do. I read 5 to 7 pages, and then I talk about it. Then I hit stop, and then I go and I talk about another 7 pages. Stop, and then I talk about the last 7 pages. Stop. So I usually have a few cuts. One Piece, of course, is so filling and brimmed after 900 plus chapters, closer to 1,000 than 900. Good job, Oda. That I have to usually make big cuts, right? I can't just talk about the whole chapter in one cut. Sorry, guys, I got something in my eye. But that being said, I am not going to attempt that this time. I'm going to read exactly how much of a baller this dude is. Okay, this is Oden, Kazuki, his life. Age 1, threw his wet nurses across the room. Okay? Age 2, fast enough to capture 2 rabbits at once. Age 4, defeated a bear with a boulder. Age 6, frequently entered the red light district. Dude already knew exactly what side of the field he was playing for. I mean, maybe not. I think that's called the purple district or something. Anyways, not the point. 8, got in a huge brawl with gamblers while drunk. 9, blacklisted by the Yakuza by the age of 9. The Shogun's son of Wano. Basically, the equivalent would be the prince of the country got blacklisted by the underworld at the age of 9. forbidden from entering all gambling dens. At 9, in revenge, he started an entire war and set fire to all the dens with the Yakuza. He got arrested and damaged property and stuff at the age of 10. He was during the prison, he was so goddamn good at it, he became a quarry boss. The quarry boss, like he built himself up and he made such, solid rock and cutting such smooth rock and stuff that they were like, yeah, all right, you're the head honcho now. After returning to society, he had a change of heart. When he was 14, the capital was in a severe drought. So he changed the direction of a river at 14. I mean, it ended up flooding the entire capital, apparently, and people lost their homes, and I'm sure more. But, I mean, it's what he attempted. And from then on, he attempted to use this pathway to try to escape Wano. He never truly does. And the list goes on. Now, this is a retainer of the current shogun, Oden's father, Sukiyaki, I think I'm saying that right, who is, once again, awesome. And he's basically getting a recap. It's for us. It's an information dump. I don't mind it because I really wanted to know. And Oda is saying, fine, it's time to reveal what Oden looks like and his backstory. Here was Oden. And we probably, next chapter, will get a little bit of a tie into how he joined the Whitebeard crew and stuff, This entire thing just hypes up Oden like an absolute boss of a character. And this is why Oda does not usually showcase many fights. He focuses on Luffy and those fights, but Oda doesn't do a whole lot of singular fights that are on epic proportions, that aren't off-screen or waiting for later or whatever, right? In this case, I think we are going to find out that Oden, for some reason, once again, I believe Oden's alive. I'm holding on to that theory. But if he's dead, I believe he probably could have beaten Kaido. The amount of respect and knowledge and fear that the entirety of the One Piece world seems to know the name Oden, that the most powerful pirate crews ever had him on it. Who else interchanged on the two strongest pirate crews? Who else? Who else went from the King of the Pirates crew and the Whitebeard crew? Who else run an entire country? Who else managed to actually scar Kaido? I'm just saying, I think there's something else fishy going on. I think Oda's building this up to get the theorists just going on YouTube to say, and Reddit and Discord and all the other ones, to say, look, I think Oden was handicapped in some way. I think Oden had a shot at killing Kaido. Beating him at least. And something went wrong. He was poisoned. He was in no position. They used a dirty trick. Something. In a straight up fight, I think Oden was getting the upper hand on Kaido. And something else happened. Because Kaido didn't kill Oden. Oden was captured and then, had the whole thing poured on him or whatever, or he was dipped in it or however he died, right? Something, to make a mockery of his namesake. So, it's entirely possible because Oda is literally like throwing it home that this guy, before he was even a teenager, was one of he would have slapped everyone in East Blue when he was 3, by the sounds of this guy. So that makes me believe by the time we see him now, or even the time that he was on the crew, he was probably, Oden might have been the world's strongest swordsman title at one point in the One Piece world. I don't think that's a huge leap to say that. Because Shanks and Mihawk were kids when Oden was powerful and alive. So it stands to reason that somebody else had to be the world's strongest swordsman. Could it have been Oden? Once he got out in the world and sailing, maybe he made a name for himself like, I am the #1 user of swords. Just saying, it's possible. He cut Kaido. That's all I can say. This is... Oden is such a incredible... Okay, this is turning into a character discussion, so we're just going to move on with the rest of the chapter here, because I have a feeling that, you know, the rest of the chapter is going to go very quick, but I really needed to nail this home. That's why I read it somewhat verbatim off of the actual manga panels, because I couldn't remember all that, and I wanted to list all the insanity that he did as a small child. Like, just wow. Now, outside of that Oden, basically, life story, his entire backstory leading up to the point where we see him currently in the story, before he actually left Wano and became a very relevant figure in the face of the world, what we do see is we meet Denjiro, we see a young Kinemon. Well, actually, at the beginning of the chapter, there are some guys that collected this very white, shiny little, like, piglet, a little baby boar, right? And they're like, this thing goes for 1 platinum, like, that'll buy a whole house and stuff. And Suru, we see a very young Suru, looking pretty snazzy, looking pretty fine. Good job on Kinemon. Kinemon comes in as a young man to try to, apparently they were childhood friends, tries to steal, you know, out of her wallet, and she beats the living crap out of him. The guys kind of leave and stuff. He beats them up, takes the boar, because he's like, he heard what they said, blah, blah, blah. Hirogoro the Flowers also mentions, like, oh, so Kinemon's up to his old tricks. He's like, yeah, well, guys, don't try to fight him one-on-one. They're like, why? Well, he's far stronger than any of you single-handedly, sorry, you know. And Hirogoro's like, and Hirogoro must have been some type of badass, because there is one thing that was mentioned during the war that Oden started at 14 with the Yakuza. Hirogoro put an end to it. That's what seems to be implied here anyways. Like, Hirogoro the Flowers even got involved and ended it. So, that man was a true baller. Now we understand even more why he was so respected. That was the man that actually put Oden to sit down, you know. We don't know if they actually physically fought or something, but, I mean, the dude looks awesome. The big Buddha belly and the flaming hair and the whole, like, you know, he looks so good in this chapter. So I want to see more from old man Hio there. Then... For the most part, the only other parts of the chapter is after the big meeting, as I said, with the Shogun, with his father, we do actually see Oden. And Oden, what Oden is doing is he's sitting on top of apparently, they cremated a very prominent figure in Wano, or a friend of Oden's in some way. And the flames they used to cremate this person's ashes, Katsuzo. I'm so bad with the names, guys, and I hate to segment 1 second to get the video right, and then or the name right, and then move on to the rest of the video. So forgive me for that. But basically, Oden seems to think that this was a good friend of his in some way. Maybe the people didn't know that or something. But Oden basically used the fire to boil, and he's eating a huge thing of Oden. That's the joke, or udon, whatever. He's eating it. He's constantly eating it. You know, he's drinking a bunch of sake. He's putting it away like a champ. The relatives are all crying. Like, he's being disrespectful and all this stuff, but nobody's willing to be able to stop him. He stops for a second. He puts it down. He finishes his meal, and he goes, that was good. That's it then. Well, thank you very much, old friend. Basically, he says, the next time you and I share a drink will be in the afterlife. And then he gets up, and he's like, and I'm sorry to you, relatives and stuff. And he walks away. It's so interesting because I feel like Oden, because it's the same with the river thing. He heard that the people of Wano were in danger in a drought, so he tries to help. But he's so stupid. It's kind of the Disney Hercules movie. There's an even better example. I can't really think of it right now. But, you know, the big guy who's got the super strength, but he always seems to mess things up rather than help. He could be so helpful if he knew how to utilize his strength and stuff, but he's clumsy about it. Or it doesn't work out, and his mindset is just wrong or something, right? And the way to help. So, this is another thing. This was a hugely manly moment. The women dropped dead for him, like, right after this. Like, oh, he's so manly and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, dude's a baller. He gets up afterwards, and he just basically says, you know, like, I'm sorry for this and stuff. And this was a good sign of respect, you know? I have some friends. I've actually lost some friends recently, but they're not dead. We're not friends anymore. But, so don't worry about that, guys. But the idea of some friends. Not everybody will fully understand, but certain people's friendships will, you know what, you don't bring flowers to their grave. You bring them a bottle of booze and you have a shot, you pour, it's very classic in a lot of Japanese cultures or Asian cultures, I should say, that they pour sake on tombs and gravestones and gravesites and stuff. I've seen that depicted many, many times. And here, mostly, it's very traditional in the West to just bring flowers or bring yourself sort of idea. But it doesn't stand to reason that you couldn't be like, well, I don't know. It felt like it was more personal. Oden wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but this was his way of sending off his friend. And his friend is probably, if he's up in heaven or whatever, is probably looking down going, that cheeky bastard, whatever. So it's one of those things where I really appreciate it. This shows that Oden is not just some brute man of mayhem, with no forethought or thinking or anything like that. Whitebeard and Roger might have taught him a lot of things, but they didn't teach him humility and to care about others and empathy and sympathy and stuff. He seemed to already have these traits. He just puts a smile on his face and goes about the way things he wants to go about it. But he still seems to already care so deeply for his friends and his people of Wano. So something about this really got to me. Oda depicted this perfectly. It shows that Oden is a three-dimensional character. He's not Big Mom. That's a perfect example. He's not Charlotte Linlin, who was an extremely powerful 6-year-old and but had that childlike, I don't even know, I put the bear and the wolf together and it didn't happen, right? Oden's not like that. Oden's not stupid. Oden has the intelligence. It feels like he understands situations. He gets the way things work, I guess. It seems to be depicted that way to me. He's not just a brute who doesn't fully understand, you can't do this, you can't do that, stop Big Mom sort of idea. He's not that, So that's just the way I feel. At the end of the day, the last part of the chapter, we see Kinemon and Denjiro, they meet up and stuff. Denjiro design looking pretty okay, but he's just a kid back then. Seems to be a bit of a swindler, so I don't know what's going to go on about that. But yeah, basically, the god of the mountain that was mentioned at the beginning of the chapter, the big mountain boar god, is coming to town, coming to the flower capital to get the baby back. So Oden's like, all right, give me that little baby boar, crack. And so this should be really interesting. Like, once again, I think Oden is got to be way up there. Like, Oda dedicated this chapter just to tell us at what age he did feats that Luffy probably couldn't do when he first, in episode 1, Oden was doing that shit as an 8-year-old. Like, this dude was... Yeah, okay. I'm gonna stop, jacking off Oden right now. But he's just, I am fanboying. I am fanboying hard for this guy. I've always thought he was cool. I still think he's alive. That's my theory. Whatever. But that being said, what do you guys think of the chapter? What do you think of the review? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, it's always very much appreciated. Hit that bell notification in the corner or down here or up there or wherever the hell it is on YouTube if you want to know whenever I drop a new video, because my schedule is, as we say, haphazard. I try to upload every day, but it doesn't always pan out, and it's always at random times. So that way you'll always know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep watching, keep liking, keep subscribing. Drink responsibly as always. See you next time.